Yep. We're good.
Okay. We've been reading every night from Vilapa Kushamanjali. We have a select little group. Neither of them are here today. Dharpaha Prabhu comes almost every day, and Rishabdev really comes every day. But today maybe he went down to the town today. So, but anyway, we are going to hear and speak about Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj on his appearance day. We had some discussion this morning. Tirthapada led that discussion. So, what's that book? Oh, okay. Kurve Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Judaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vansha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauda Trise Nama Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalo Kalmashanashaya Janava Pataye Namaha Ajanulambita Bujo Kanakavadato Samkirtanaika Pitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambaro Dvijavaro Yoga Dharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Brindai Tulsi Debai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Ashtatarasata Srila A.C. Bhaktivedānta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat pranams and Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Astatarasata Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Astatarasata Srila Bhaktivedānta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And then also my Siksha Guru, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Astatarasata Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Astatarasata Srila Bhaktivedānta Vaman Goswami Maharaj. That it is the Avirbhav Maha Mahotsav Titi, the appearance day of Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj. So we'll be speaking about his life and charitra, his character. I also offer my unlimited Dandavat pranams at the lotus feet of all of my Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga. And I offer my Dandavat pranams to all of the Vaishnavas and all of the Vaishnavis. So we get to hear about and remember and glorify Srila Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj twice in the last part of every year. Or actually, this is the beginning part. But in Kartik time was his disappearance day. So that's in October, November, in the middle of Kartik. And so today, in beginning of, no, it's actually like 3 months apart. We've got November, December, January, right? Like 3 months. And there's a nice book. Have you ever read this little book? A Life of Humble Service. Yeah. You read it?
Yeah, some time ago.
Yeah. It's put together.
Biography?
Yeah, it's like a short biography. I was looking for who did that, who put it together. But I'm not remembering. Because you remember that one devotee from South India who wanted to build a beautiful samadhi for Srila Trivikrama Maharaj. Yeah. He came to my room in Vrindavan in Rup Sanatan, and then he told me about his desire to build a very beautiful samadhi. And he was asking me if I know of any people that might like to donate for that, you know. And I mentioned your name, Radhakanta Prabhu.
That's why you came to me.
Yeah, and he came and you gave a donation. Have you seen that samadhi?
No.
It's really beautiful. I wonder if they have a picture of it in here.
Yeah, there's a picture of it.
Oh.
I may have seen the pictures.
It's like South Indian style, one of the most beautiful samadhis. Where is it, Hansavati? Which
I'm
page?
not sure if it's in this book, but it was I was reading this book yesterday.
Yeah, let's see.
It's by the
Ah, here it is.
Yeah, right there.
this is the Samadhi.
Okay, yeah, I have seen that.
Under construction.
Very elaborate, very beautifully done, you know.
The Mahārāja is not from South India, but his disciples from South India, so he built it in that style. Where's Mahārāja born?
Who? Srila
Yeah.
Maharaj? We'll find that out in a minute.
In Bengal?
Yeah, that devotee was not a disciple of Srila Trivikrama Maharaj. That devotee, I can't remember his name. You remember his name?
No.
Yeah. He was a disciple of Srila Gurudev.
Okay.
And he knew how much dear to Gurudev was Srila Trivikrama Maharaj. So that's why he became inspired. Because Srila Vaman Maharaj, his samadhi is right next to Param Gurudev's samadhi. And it's a very big, nice, samadhi. And Devananda Gaudiya
Yeah,
Maharaj.
Devananda.
Right. And of course, Gurudev's samadhi is a whole nother kind of project,
Yeah.
But Srila Trivikrama Maharaj, he felt that Gurudev would appreciate so much that Srila Trivikrama Maharaj would have an appropriate samadhi for, everyone to remember his position, because they were so intimate, the three of them. That's what's always remembered in Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti, the three pillars. When devotees speak on these days, they mention that all the time, the three pillars. And in Gurudev's room, at Rupsanatan, his Bhajan Kutir room there, up on the first floor, right next to Seva Kunj. So Dvija Krishna Prabhu, who was one of the servants of Gurudev, would cook for Gurudev, he arranged to convert that room into a very special room by putting 3 carved teakwood Vyasasans in that room with a picture of all 3 of them. And then on Gurudev, then against the wall is his bed. And there's also a big picture of Gurudev there as well. And then he had all these photographs made, which are about the size of those, Guru Parampara photos there. And he had them put on the upper part of the wall, like probably at least more than 100 photos of all pictures of Gurudev going all over the world. And so it's very nice the way he did that. And, so the 3 Vyasasans are there, like full size, that they would be able to sit on. So this book, A Life of Humble Service, is dedicated to Srila Trivikrama Swami Maharaj. Yes, and a glimpse of the transcendental life and teachings of Nityalila Pravishta, Om Vishnupad Ashtatarashata, Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj, by the servants of his servants, inspired by our beloved Gurudev Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashtatarashata Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Narayana Goswami Maharaj. A humble offering on the occasion of his centennial appearance anniversary. So he appeared in 1915. He was a bit older than Gurudev. And disappeared, not disappeared, in 2002, I think, or 3. Because he was still there in 2002 when I took sannyas, and that was at Devananda Gaudiya Maharaj. But I think later that year, he departed. Yes, and then the inauguration of his Samadhi Mandir on the 25th of February, 2015. So that was his 100th anniversary. I think that was another inspiration that the devotee wanted to collect for.
So what was his relationship with Trivikrama Maharaj directly, Trivikrama Maharaj didn't have disciples.
No, he wasn't
disciples.
initiating.
Yeah.
He wasn't initiating. And
so he did this because of his relationship with Trivikrama Maharaj, or because of his relationship with Gurudev?
well, like I say, what I remember is that he felt that it would be appropriate that Srila Trivikrama Maharaj would have a more ornate and royal kind of samadhi rather than just a small thing. That Gurudev would be pleased by that.
I see. And they were going to make something simple and small.
Yeah.
He had it done that.
Yeah. So, so the subjects, I'm just going to read the subjects that are covered in here. His birth and childhood, his childhood interests, chess, football, and music. Then, his vow of non-violence and showing care and affection to all living beings in his childhood. Never tolerating any wrongdoing. An expert homeopathic doctor. Business, marriage, and household life. An excellent and daring swimmer. And I witnessed that. Yeah. Because even when he was very old, one day we were bathing in the Ganga at, I'm not sure whether it was the place that we always go to or Rudradweep, where Mahaprabhu swam across. But at any,
Katha?
Yeah, Nirudoy Ghat, but I think it was the other. But I saw him. He went in the water and he started swimming out into the Ganga. So that's what it says here, an excellent and daring swimmer. Then birth of a daughter.
He said he swam across the Ganga also.
Yeah.
The Ganga several times.
Yeah, he did. That's why he is a expert, excellent, and daring swimmer. So then the birth of a daughter and sadness. Then hearing Harikatha from a powerful messenger of Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Then his strong desire to renounce everything and utilize this human life exclusively in performing Hari Bhakti. Then his regret to not have had the direct darshan of Srila Prabhupada. Then life in the mutt. Then his firm determination amidst strong opposition from his wife and family members. That's very interesting stories. Then his sannyas initiation. Then service to Sri Guru with complete humility and dedication. Then refusing the position of Acharya. Then his services during Navadvip Parikrama. Srila Maharaj's Harikatha. Sweet relationship between God brothers. That would be those three especially. Entering Nitya Lila and taking Samadhi. And his favorite shlokas. So that's part one. And then part two is Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj's teachings and his favorite topics and articles in Sri Gaudiya Patrika and articles in Rays of the Harmonists, just like a summary of all the titles.
That's a lot for that small book.
Yeah, but this is only on one page, page 32, 33, like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then there's, I think, a full lecture that is in here on page 35. That's the last. Krishna is only hungry for love. So, we will begin. What a nice opportunity. Ah, yes, this famous picture of Srila Trivikrama Maharaj leaning against a tree. One of the first years when we went on the parikrama, and I think this was when we were going to Talvan and Madhuban, like one of the first days that we went out on the buses on the parikrama. Yeah. Oh, I just want to tell when I first met Srila Trivikrama Maharaj. It was the year 1994. And I had gone to India to go on the Braj Mandala Parikrama with Srila Gurudev the first time that I went. And that same year, Tirthapada Prabhu went with his family. Pran Kishore Prabhu went with his family. And who else? Yeah. But anyway, there was a number of us that went. And Pran, he had collected to build the Rup Sanatan temple. And then when that was completed, then Gurudev told him, that's enough, no more is needed. I think the grand opening was in 1989. But then there was a period of a little bit of a struggle for Pran, and he didn't go to India for 5 years. And I also hadn't been there. I went in 91, but for a brief visit in 91. But in 94 we all came. And so the morning of the first day of Kartik, of course, is the disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. And so when we came, like 6 or so in the morning, into the temple room at Keshavji Gaudi in Mathura, so they had a forget how they arranged it, whether it was on the floor or whether it was up on a pedestal, on the higher up. But anyway, Gurudev was sitting, and next to him was sitting this elderly person. I'd never heard anything about who are the special godbrothers of Srila Gurudev, Srila Narayan Maharaj. So then Gurudev, he said his Mangala Charan, and then he said to all the Western devotees that he said, I want to introduce my godbrother, Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj. And he said, you should not be afraid of him. He looks very fierce. But he is very soft-hearted. So then he requested Srila Trivikrama Maharaj to speak first. He began to say his Mangala Charan. And then as soon as he started, you were there? As soon as he started speaking, he began weeping and weeping. And just saying, like, I never served my Guru Maharaj properly, and lamenting and weeping like this. And then it was very short. And after that, Gurudev spoke. So that's the first time that I met him. Yeah. Okay, so his birth and childhood. Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj appeared in Goara. It's spelled G-O-A-R-A. So you could say Gora. Pretty good place to be born, because it's pronounced the same way. Gora. Which is a small village situated 15 kilometers from Kalna. Ambik Kalna. Which is a subdivision of the Bardhaman district of West Bengal, India. And he was born in the year 1915. He appeared on the auspicious Dvadashi Titi, that is today, that falls right before Mauni Amavasya, the dark moon in the month of Magh. And who appeared on that day? Gurudev. And Mauni Amavasya. They're 2 days apart. His father's name was Sri Ashutosh Kumar, and his mother's name was Srimati Satyani Devi. Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda. Ashutosh Kumar, his father's name, and his mother's name, Srimati Satyani Devi. They named their child Radhanath Kumar. That's one reason why our Radhanath, who later became Damodar Maharaj, he liked to be with him.
Because they had the same name?
Well, I think that was just one thing, you know.
Must be good, that's the same name.
So, and he was born in a well-to-do, noble Satagopa community, which is a division of the Yadava, the Vaishya Varna. He had 7 brothers and 4 sisters.
Wow.
They had the big families then. That's 12.
Oh.
12 children. Tirthapada Prabhu was also in a big family. How many? 14! Oh my God.
All from one mother. Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I was a twin. 2 sets of twins.
You were what?
2 sets of twins. Yeah. I was a twin.
You were a twin. Identical twin? Is he still living?
That's my name.
Oh,
Child.
okay. Now, in his childhood, he was very naughty, but very intelligent. He went to Badla High School, which was 3 kilometers from his village. He showed great interest in science and mathematics, but little interest in history. Radhanath Kumar was very interested in playing games like chess and football. Can you sit in the chair if you want, or on a nice carpet?
I have to go work on the septic thing.
On the what? Oh, is that the problem? There.
Outside.
Oh, okay. So, Radhanath Kumar was very interested in playing games like chess and football. Of course, that's soccer, we call it. He was a fan of the legendary national level football player of that time, Umapati Kumar, popularly known as letter U, Kumar, and used to play football with him from time to time.
Wow.
He also loved music and often played sitar. One day, just before his final examinations, he was playing sitar in his friend's house when his father happened to pass by. And seeing his son playing sitar right before his final exam, he chastised him in front of his friends, but Radhanath Kumar pacified his father, convincing him that he would pass the final examinations with distinction. When the exam results came, his father saw that his son had not only passed the final exam with extraordinary results, but had gained entrance into Calcutta University, and he became very happy. In this way, Radhanath Kumar was highly qualified in many areas. In Bengal, catching fish, eating them and cooking them is common. One day, Radhanath Kumar and his friends went to a pond to catch fish. Radhanath Kumar made a large, strong net. His friends used his net and caught a big fish, but it struggled hard to escape, and after much effort, it managed to do so. The next day, Radhanath Kumar saw that very same fish floating dead in the pond. He came to know that it had died due to injuries incurred in trying to escape the net he had made. That he had caused the fish so much suffering pained his heart. And on that very day he took a vow never to cause harm to any jiva ever again. From that day forth, he showed care and affection to all living beings. Even later in life, while living in Sri Uddharan Gaudiya Math in Chunchura, Srila Maharaj showed so much care and affection to squirrels, sparrows, cats, and other animals. In fact, Srila Maharaj would not take afternoon prasadam unless all these animals had taken prasadam from his own hands. Such was his compassion for the jivas of this world. Never tolerating any wrongdoing. Once, an astrologer dressed as a sannyasi visited his village. That astrologer highly impressed people by being able to speak about a person's past just by glancing at him. So people assumed that his futuristic predictions would also be accurate. He was therefore able to exploit people by convincing them that the bad prediction for their future would be negated if they bought from him rings studded with stones, and the innocent villagers were happy to shell out money for this end. So Radhanath Kumar saw all this, and he could not tolerate it. He thought to teach the astrologer a lesson and save the villagers from such a cheater. He went to that astrologer and politely asked him, "Oh, astrologer, how long will you live?" The astrologer replied, "I will live a long life." So all the villagers had gathered around to listen to the discussion, and suddenly Radhanath Kumar reached over and put his hands around the neck of that astrologer as if to strangle him. "You are about to die now. Did you not foresee this?" The astrologer cried for his life and prayed to Radhanath Kumar for forgiveness, promising that he would never perform such deceitful acts again. When the astrologer had been thus exposed as fraudulent, the people became furious and they began to shout at him. Radhanath Kumar drove that duplicitous astrologer and so-called sannyasi from the village and requested the villagers to not be so easily charmed by such persons again. In this way, he did not tolerate the wrongdoing of any so-called religious pretender. He would immediately expose such a person and try to reform him. A lot of nice photos in this book. Yeah, nice photos. He's sitting, taking prasadam probably in a happy mood. Now, from an early age, Radhanath Kumar had a keen interest in medicine, especially homeopathy, which is widely practiced in West Bengal. He had studied it under his uncle, who was a homeopathic doctor, and he mastered it. Local people thus consulted him about their health problems. You know, even while he was with us in Trivikrama, he would always have his box of homeopathic medicines, and devotees would come to him and he'd prescribe. So after joining the mutt, Srila Maharaj always took care of the medical needs of the mutt devotees. Even in his advanced age, during the Gaura Mandala and Braj Mandala Parikrama, many sick pilgrims would come to him and he would treat them all. He used to say, "In my old age, I cannot go out on parikrama, but I will help in every way possible those who have come from distant places to perform parikrama." He was expert in administering the relevant medicine and was thus greatly appreciated by his patients. He performed this service throughout his mutt life. After completing matriculation, Radhanath Kumar started a timber business in Kalna, a prominent town near his village, and he became a highly successful timber merchant. Upon seeing his success in business, his parents got him married at the very young age of 18. This was the norm during pre-independence days in India. After marrying, he responsibly maintained his family. Now, while staying in Kalna, he would take bath in the Ganga every day. He was an excellent swimmer and very courageous. There were small crocodiles in the river, but he would swim across from one bank to the other without great exertion or fear. His wife gave birth to a beautiful daughter, and Radhanath Kumar showed his affection upon her, but at the age of 7 years, she suddenly passed away. He felt overwhelming sadness in separation from her. It was around this time that a powerful messenger of Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, named Sri Narottamananda Brahmachari, came to Kalna to speak Hari Katha.
The same person.
Same one,
Yeah.
who later became Bhakti Kamala Madhusudan Maharaj, was it? Yeah, Bhakti Kamala Madhusudan.
Same one that inspired Gurudev.
Yeah, the same one. And this was some years before. So he was preaching in villages, and he was serving in the institution, the Bhaktivedānta Samiti, founded by Param Gurudev. So he came to Kalna to speak Harikatha. Sri Narottamānanda Brahmachari was an initiated disciple of Jagat Guru Śrīmad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and also a godbrother of Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Before Srila Prabhupada left this world, he instructed Sri Narottamānanda Brahmachari to take shelter of this godbrother, and he stayed with him in Sri Uddaran Gaudiya Math, Chunchura.
Taking shelter of who?
Bhakti Pragyan Keshav. Later, Sri Narottamānanda Brahmachari took sannyas and became Srila Bhakti Kamala Madhusudan Goswami Maharaj. Gurudev had quite an intimate relationship with him directly, like Siksha Guru, you know. While Sri Narottamānanda Brahmachari, this is very nice in Srila Bhaktivedānta Bharati Maharaj's book, My Beloved Masters. There's a very nice section about him.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was famous for Bhagavatam. This is direct order from Srila
Acha.
Bhakti.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole story. There used to be a...
Can you give him the mic? The mic is on the floor there. Give him the mic. Turn it on.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
It's not on. Okay, yeah.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Yeah, he got a direct order from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, preach Bhagavatam. That was his duty every day, to get Bhagavatam class. So his disciple was talking about how one day he was very sick and he went upstairs to call him down for Bhagavatam class. He was very sick. And he said, Maharaj, you want us to do Bhagavatam class for you? He said, no. It's my duty. And he came down, he hardly could get down the stairs. And then he started giving the Bhagavatam class. Boom, all the sickness went away. Like that. So he was famous for that. Other things too.
So while Sri Narottamānanda Brahmachari was in Kalna, delivering charming Harikatha to the large number of listeners that had gathered, Radhanath Kumar happened to pass by. He heard a few words and was totally captured. He sat down and listened to the whole discourse. What deeply attracted and inspired him was this shloka from Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Labdava idam bahusam bhavante manushyam artadam anityam apiha dira turnam yateta napatim napatet, yes, anumrityu yavan nishreyasaya vishaya kalusarvatasyat. Gurudev kind of drilled us on this shloka too. Srila Das in San Francisco, he drilled Srila Das, and he knew Srila. He told him like earlier that day, I'm going to be calling on you tonight, and you should review this shloka Labdvasa Durlabha. Remember?
Yeah, I think he did that evening.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So what's the meaning? This is from the 11th canto, 9th chapter, 29th verse. This human birth is very rare. This is the shloka that inspired him and deeply attracted him. So this human birth is very rare because it is only attained after many lifetimes. Although temporary, it can give the highest benefit. After all, sense gratification is available in all species, whereas spiritual perfection is possible only for human beings. Therefore, an intelligent person should immediately, without wasting a single moment, begin to endeavor with one pointed dedication to achieve the ultimate good fortune before death comes. So, he further heard in this katha that worldly pleasure is not permanent and that one day we will have to leave friends and loved ones, or they will be forced to leave us, thereby causing us so much pain. He heard that we enjoy materially with the help of 5 senses, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. But this enjoyment leads to many more rebirths. In this way, material enjoyment only increases our pain and distress. It never delivers eternal happiness. Only Hari Bhakti can free us from this cycle of repeated birth and death and lead us to eternal happiness. But Bhakti can only be realized in this human life, not in any other. Why not, therefore, engage our precious time and energy in the service of Sri Hari? This human life gives us an opportunity to serve Bhagavan. What is the loss in doing so? Material sense enjoyment can be obtained in all other forms of life. So this Katha made a great impression on Radhanath Kumar's heart, and he experienced unlimited happiness. He talked further with Sri Narottam Brahmachari and asked him many questions. He also inquired about the Gaudiya Math, and at that time, Sri Narottam Brahmachari invited him to Sri Udaran Gaudiya Math Chunchura and informed him about a very near and dear associate of Jagat Guru Śrīmad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada named Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj.
Where's Chinchura? You know?
Where? I've never been there. But there's a Udaran Gaudiya Math. I think Srila Maharaj used to stay there a lot too. You been there? Chinchura.
It's near Kalna or near...
Oh, that I'm not sure of also. We can look it up.
Udaran Gaudiya Math was the one near where Prabhupada used to stay when he was growing up.
Near Calcutta?
Yeah.
So Chinchura is part of Calcutta?
No, well, it's northern Calcutta.
Ah.
I think it was near the border of...
Okay. We can look that up on Google Maps. Okay, so yes, Narottam invited him to come to that Udaran Gaudiya Math and to meet Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. In this way, Sri Narottam Brahmachari introduced Radhanath Kumar to his Guru Maharaj, Sri Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj.
God brother is Shiksha Guru, though, right?
His godbrother, yeah, of course, they consider. His godbrother
Narottam Ananda
introduced Radhanath Kumar to his Guru Maharaj. No, meaning to his future Guru Maharaj. Yeah, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj. Yeah. So, next section is titled His Strong Desire to Renounce Everything and Utilize This Human Life Exclusively in Performing Hari Bhakti. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 22, there is the verse. We all know this verse. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastri Koi, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoi. The verdict of all revealed scriptures is that even a moment's association with a sadhu, a pure devotee, can award complete spiritual perfection. Sarva Siddhi Hoi. So gradually, due to associating with pure devotees and hearing the strong message of Jagat Guru Sri Śrīmad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada from his disciples, Radhanath Kumar's mind completely changed. Having understood the purpose of human life, his life took on a whole new meaning, and a strong desire to renounce everything and fully engage in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arose in him. Srila Maharaj would express on many occasions that after hearing the powerful Harikatha of Jagat Guru Sri Śrīmad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada from Srila Prabhupada's disciples, he felt that his fortune was neither good nor blessed. because as a child he used to cycle past Bagh Bazar Mutt to visit his uncle during Srila Prabhupada's manifest pastimes, but he never entered the mutt to get direct darshan of him. In 1942, Radhanath Kumar renounced everything, and he took shelter of his Gurudev, Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. He proceeded to live in Sri Udaran Gaudiya Mutt, Chunchura, as a vanaprastha, one who has retired from household life. Then on Akshaya Tritiya day, in the year 1943, he was given Diksha by Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, and his name became Radhanath Das Adhikari.
So how old was he when he came to the Math?
So he was born, what, 1915?
Yeah,
This is 1942.
42,
Yeah, so it was like, let's see,
27.
27. Okay. Now, his firm determination amidst strong opposition from his wife and family members. The family members of Radhanath Das Adhikari, including his wife, became angry with his decision and they wanted him to return home. They even took help of the police to bring him back. Radhanath Das Adhikari was forcefully brought home by his family many times, but they were not successful in preventing him from returning to the mutt. When they saw his strong determination, they started to lose hope. Radhanath Das Adhikari's parents, wife, and family members would come to the mutt to see him and appeal to him, but he was not sympathetic to their pleas. And he told them to leave immediately. He would say, "Maya is coming to take me back as her slave." So one time his godbrother asked him, "Oh Prabhu, why do you treat your parents like this?" And then to this, Radhanath Das Adhikari replied, "If I show them sympathy and affection, then slowly their attachment to me will increase. They will not be able to forget me and they will always insist that I return home. In this way, they will become a hindrance to my bhakti. It is only to cut that attachment that I am acting harshly. If they start to dislike me, they will easily be able to forget me." His wife also tried many times to bring him back, but he never budged an inch. Once she even threatened to burn herself in front of him by immolating herself in fire. So this is a funny one. Radhanath Das Adhikari said in a strong voice that he would help her to do it by pouring the kerosene and lighting the match. And seeing his strong determination to do bhajan, she gradually stopped pestering him to return. Wow. Radhanath Das Adhikari never expected Mat devotees to treat his family members with any importance because of their relationship with him. And such was his disposition towards so-called relatives in this material world. Unless one is as spiritually strong as Radhanath Das Adhikari, it is impossible to cut worldly attachment at its root like he did. Then they got the photo of the three of them taking sannyas, the three pillars. Now sannyas initiation. Before Radhanath Das Adhikari came to the mutt, Sri Sajan Sevak Brahmachari, Srila Bhaktivedānta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, had already taken shelter of Param Gurudev Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj and was serving him day and night. Later in 1946, Shri Gaur Narayan Das Adhikari, who became Srila Bhaktivedānta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, joined the mutt. Radhanath Das Adhikari taught Shri Gaur Narayan Das Adhikari many things, such as how to sing, bhajans, cook, and perform other mutt services. In this way, beginning from the early years of Sri Gaudiya Samiti, the three of them shared a lifelong transcendental relationship. The three pillars of Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti, Srila Bhaktivedānta Vāman Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj, and our beloved Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedānta Narayan Goswami Maharaj received sannyas initiation at the same time from Param Gurudev on Gaur Purnima Day in the year
1946.
No, that was when that's when Gurudev came to the
Oh,
Mount.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I remember it because I was born that year,
53,
1952. Then, service to Sri Guru with complete humility and dedication. Now there's a verse being quoted from Śrīmad Bhagavatam, 1st Canto, 8th chapter, verse 26. Janmaishwarya Shruta Shrivir Edamana Madak Puman Naivar Hatya Bidatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. Remember where the slok is from? Queen Kunti.
Queen Kunti,
Yeah. Queen Kunti is telling to Krishna, you are easily attainable for those who are exhausted with this mundane world. Akinchana Gocharam. On the other hand, no one who has become intoxicated by the 4 privileges of prestigious birth, wealth, and luxury, and erudition, and physical beauty can approach you with true sincerity. Janmaishwarya, Shruta, Shrivir. So Srila Maharaj, the embodiment of humility, had given up all designations to completely serve Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas. He never hesitated to do any kind of seva for them. He even used to carry the pot for the toilet chamber on his head in service to his Gurudev and the Vaishnavas. Srila Maharaj always used to say, I have come here to serve Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas and not take service from them. Throughout his life, he hardly accepted service from anybody, and he did everything himself. He led a very simple life, and he exemplified simple living, high thinking. He was expert in everything he did, such as electrical work, carpentry, tailoring, serving cows, working with the printing press, cooking, and going on bhiksha. He would perform those services with great dedication and commitment. The seva that was most dear to him was cooking and performing kirtan. He used to cook delicious preparations for the deities, and he performed kirtan with genuine spiritual feeling. We were, this morning, Tirthapada Prabhu was, he told us all that we should sing this song, Sri Radha Krishna Pada Kamale Mana, which was one of the favorite songs of Srila Trivikrama. So we sang it this morning and read the translation. Yes. So his favorite kirtans were from Sharanagati by Srila Bhaktivedānta Thakur, and he would often become immersed in singing Narada Muni Bhajayavina and the one you selected, Sri Radha Krishna Pada Kamale Mana. He never used to take rest during the day, but remained immersed in service. In this way, Srila Maharaj remained fully engaged in the service of Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas. Now, refusing the position of Acharya. Srila Maharaj's determination was strong and firm, so his Gurudev would give him responsibility for difficult tasks. His Gurudev trusted him fully. When his Gurudev was leaving this world, Srila Maharaj was the first person he thought of to be the Acharya and to protect the mission. But Srila Maharaj, being the embodiment of Trinadapi Sunich, being more humble than a blade of grass, he humbly bowed before him and submitted his request at his lotus feet to allow him to remain a sevak, a servant of the Sri Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti. He never had any interest in becoming an Acharya. He even took a vow to never make a disciple, and he never initiated anybody throughout his life. Nor did he have any desire to become guru. In this way, Srila Maharaj took Bhishma Pratigya, or a formidable vow, Bhishma Pratigya, similar to the vow taken by Sri Bhishma Pitamaha in the Mahabharata war. Seeing him perfectly content to be nothing but a humble servant of Hari Guru and Vaishnavas, his Gurudev was very pleased. Though Srila Maharaj was qualified to be a guru and acharya by nature, he preferred to set the example of embracing service to Guru from a humble position, and thus receiving the mercy of Sri Guru and Gauranga. Although Srila Maharaj never formally initiated any disciple, the fact remains that devotees all over the world accepted him as their Siksha Guru. It is very difficult to become as humble as Srila Maharaj, even in one's dreams. During Sridham Navadvip Parikrama, at the time of his Gurudev, Srila Maharaj took great interest to arrange everything nicely. He took care of devotee accommodation by constructing the tents for their stay, and he collected groceries and food grains so all the pilgrims could be offered prasadam. His Gurudev totally entrusted Srila Maharaj with these parikrama responsibilities, and as a result, they never caused his Gurudev any trouble. Once a huge flood devastated much of West Bengal. At that time, no one was allowed to export rice even to nearby states. The devotees had collected rice for Sridham Navadvip Parikrama, but they were not allowed to bring it to Sridham Navadvip. Srila Maharaj went to Kolkata and personally met the respective minister. He explained everything to him and convinced him of the importance of Navadvip Parikrama. He also told him how this rice will feed the poor and the needy people of the state who were affected by the flood for 8 days. The minister became pleased and granted permission. By this service to Parikrama, he greatly pleased his Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Srila Maharaj used to give powerful Harikatha. He was fully conversant with all Shastra and expert in explaining the meaning of Shastra in depth. In his Harikatha, he would generally focus on exposing Bhogavad, or the enjoying propensity of the jivas. I think Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to do that a lot too. Yeah. And he boldly preached in many places in Bengal and all over India. Srila Maharaj has written many wonderful articles for Sri Gaudiya Patrika in which he employed expert logic based on his deep scriptural understanding to cut misconceptions about the purpose of life and the path of bhakti. On occasion, during Sri Navadvip and Sri Braj Mandala parikramas, Srila Maharaj would become overwhelmed with emotion while glorifying his Gurudev and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And throughout their life, Srila Bhaktivedānta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Bhaktivedānta Narayan Goswami Maharaj shared very sweet relationship. He respected the others, and they considered each other to be their Siksha Guru. In fact, Srila Maharaj used to offer Shashtanga pranams to his godbrothers, especially to Srila Bhaktivedānta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. In particular, the affectionate moods between Srila Maharaj and our Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedānta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, were extraordinary and not easily understood. Externally, it seemed as though Srila Maharaj disagreed with the conceptions of Srila Gurudev, especially in regard to the greatness of the Braja Gopis. In truth, however, such opposition was in a mood of service, as it stimulated the deeper moods of Srila Gurudev, who would then present the topmost Siddhanta, full of sweet nectar. I was telling to Jai Govinda that, you know, in the early parikramas from 94 and onwards, a lot of times we were at Rup Sanatan, Gaudiya Mat, for the first part of Kartik. And he had his room right behind, like on the ground level where the altar is and everything. Then they would set up, you know, Gurudev's seat, and it was like a whole bed, and he would have a couple of Sannyasis there up on that pedestal. And so Srila Trivikrama Maharaj, he was staying in the room right behind that. And so sometimes he would come out a little bit later, and he would come and he would sit next to Gurudev. So we had witnessed quite a number of times where Gurudev was like in some kind of flow, you know, he was speaking on some topic like this, you know. And Srila Trivikrama would come, and at some point he would like interrupt Gurudev, and he would counter, you know, he would say something, and all of us, you know, we became like, why is he doing that? You know? But he explained later on that he said, actually, Srila Narayan Maharaj, he is like a rasgulla that is full of juice. So I am poking him. Because if you want to get the juice out of a rasgulla, you have to squeeze it, you have to poke it. So I'm poking. And there's actually the picture here. This is one of my favorite pictures of them together. They're sitting together on the Navadvip Parikrama in, I forget the place, it's along the way. It's Samudragar. Yeah, Samudragar. Yeah, near to Samudragar. And there was a building, and they just sat up on the porch of that building, and then the thousands of pilgrims were all in the front, you know. And so this would take place every year when they came to this particular spot. You know, Gurudev was telling the Katha of King Samudra Sen. You know that Katha from the Navadvita Mahatmya, that Samudra Sen was actually a very great Krishna Bhakta, and he was king in Navadvipta, right? In previous times, when the Pandavas were on the planet. And so after the Mahabharata war, when the Pandavas were now assuming the throne, the emperorship, then they were sent out, you know how they go out with the challenge horse, you know, and all of the kings in all the different regions, they have to submit or they'll have to fight. If they capture the horse, that means we're going to fight. Yeah. Right. So anyway, King Samudra Sen was such a great devotee, and he was thinking to himself, Bhimsen is coming. He knew that the army of Bhimsen is coming. And he thought, oh, Bhimsen is one of the Pandavas. They are directly the most intimate friends and relatives even of Shri Krishna. Mm-hmm. So, and he had not had Krishna's darshan, but he thought to himself, how can I get Krishna's darshan from Bhimsen? Then he thought, okay, I know what I'll do. He made a plan that when Bhim comes, he will fight so furiously and his army that Bhimsen will be put into a very troubled situation, and he'll have to call out for Krishna to come and save him, which he did. And, you know, Bhim called out like that, and then what happened was Krishna appeared, but Bhim could not see. Bhim could not see. But Krishna revealed himself to the king, Samudra Sen, and also with Radha and Krishna. Mm. And then he also revealed his form as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mm. And after that, like everybody was wondering, why did the Samudra Sen stop fighting? But he was having this vision. And then after that he came and touched the feet of Bhim, saying, I surrender, I submit to you. And Krishna told him, don't reveal this. So, in that place, right near to Samudragar, now they have a small temple there, but this time we were always just on the main road where there's a lot of traffic going by. And I think it's the highway that goes to Calcutta. And they would sit up there, and then at one point in Gurudev's telling the story, then Trivikrama Maharaj would grab the microphone from him. And then Trivikrama Maharaj would start debating with Gurudev. So who is the greatest devotee? Bhim Sen or Samudra Sen, right? And Gurudev always took the side of Samudra Sen. Why? Because he saw in the Dham, in Navadvip Dham, he saw Radha and Krishna and Mahaprabhu. Whereas Bhim Sen never had that darshan, right? And they would go back and forth, and the whole audience of devotees would just laugh with delight to watch this. So you can see how Gurudev is smiling.
Yeah, beaming.
Yeah, and Trivikrama Maharaj also is mischievously smiling. So after Gurudev's, disappearance, they started a tradition of also in Samudragar having some little debates. I think Dear Krishna Prabhu and sometimes Madhav Maharaj or whoever, they would kind of, Rasananda, yeah. Sridhar Maharaj. Yeah, so in truth, well, just going back, externally it seemed as though Srila Maharaj disagreed with the conceptions of Srila Gurudev, especially in regard to the greatness of the Braja Gopis. In truth, however, such opposition was in a mood of service, as it stimulated the deeper moods of Srila Gurudev, who would then present the topmost Siddhanta full of sweet nectar. Also during the annual Navadvip Parikrama at Samudragar, Srila Maharaj and Srila Gurudev delighted the devotees by debating who was a superior Vaishnava, Bhim Sen or Samudra Sen. Srila Maharaj, by taking the side of Bhim Sen, again exemplified a wondrous service mood. For, by his doing so, he inspired Srila Gurudev to express profound philosophical conclusions.
You remember what some of his arguments were about Bhim Sen?
Well, that was one of them that I mentioned. That Gurudev was saying that...
No, not Gurudev's side, Trivikrama Maharaj's side. Regarding the Bhim Sen.
Well, he was expressing how from their childhood they were great devotees.
Okay.
Kunti Devi, their mother, Krishna was always saving them from dangerous situations, like all those things he would line up. Yeah. Hey, Jita, can you stoke the fire? So, yeah. Based on their qualities, these three godbrothers were known as the three pillars of Sri Bhaktivedānta Samiti, and they were also known as the three deities of the material creation: Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Right?
That's pretty cool.
So Srila Bhaktivedānta Vaman Goswami was like Brahma, the creator, because as the illustrious Acharya of the Mat, he created the good fortune of his many disciples by giving them initiation. Srila Gurudev, Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Narayan Goswami was like Vishnu, the maintainer, because through his nectarine Harikatha and affectionate dealings, he maintained and trained the devotees in spiritual life. And Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Maharaj was like Mahesh, or Shivji, the destroyer, because through his powerful Harikatha, he annihilated the self-destructing misconceptions that reside insidiously in the depths of the heart of bound jivas, so that spiritual life can be fully embraced. Yeah. So the one section, entering Nitya Lila and taking Samadhi. Having served throughout his life the mission of his Guru Maharaj under the guidance of his god brothers, Srila Maharaj had set the example of an ideal Guru Sevak. In time, he prepared to leave this world, and he used to say, I want to leave this world unseen and unknown. I witnessed that. Yeah, I told that story this morning.
Unseen and unknown.
Yeah. He was on Braj at Shirgat, and the whole program was finishing and everyone was walking back to the buses. And a Western devotee who had a video camera, which this is the early period, they were quite rare at that time. And he had the little pull-out screen. And so Srila Trivikrama Maharaj was just sitting on a rock there with his cane. And the devotee approached him and said, oh, Maharaj, I recorded video of you, and this video is going to go out all across the world. So the whole world will meet you. Mm-hmm. So he was looking at that screen with a very disinterested look. Mm. And then he just turned away and he said, I want to die unseen, unknown. I witnessed him say that. So, in the year 2002, during the most auspicious month of Kartik, on Tritiya Titi, after the dark moon, 2 days after the Anakut festival, Srila Maharaj entered Nitya Lila, thus immersing his godbrothers and near and dear ones in deep separation from him. He was given Samadhi on the banks of Bhagavati Ganga in Sridham Navadvip, about 500 meters from Sri Keshavji Gaudiya Math. In 2002, Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Narayan Goswami Maharaj spoke the following words upon hearing of the disappearance of his beloved godbrother, and they were published in the Rays of the Harmonist issue, Kartik 2002. He said, Srila Trivikrama Maharaj was a very qualified Vaishnava. When our Guru Maharaj was in charge of publications, he put Srila Trivikrama Maharaj in charge of organizing all the preaching. His services included sending other preachers to various districts of Bengal. Srila Trivikrama Maharaj would personally go out collecting and preaching, especially in the district of Bardhaman. Through him, Guru Maharaj did a great deal of preaching in Medinipur, Chaubish Pargana, and other districts of West Bengal. From when I first joined, Srila Vaman Maharaj showed me great affection, but Param Pujapad Srila Trivikrama Maharaj showed me even more familial affection. Our Guru Maharaj placed me in his hands, and we became very close. It was Srila Trivikrama Maharaj who taught me how to perform kirtan, how to preach, and how to collect donations. Sometimes in a very loving way, he would also rebuke me. In all the years that I spent with Guru Maharaj, I was never rebuked by him, but with so much love and affection, Srila Trivikrama Maharaj used to do so. We had such a close connection that sometimes our discussions became very heated. I would counter his arguments and he would counter mine. Srila Trivikrama Maharaj used to preach all over India, and when he would go with our Guru Maharaj, I would go with them as Guru Maharaj's sevak. I would massage him, cook for him, wash his cloth, and carry a lantern for him, because there was no electricity at that time. And also I would perform other services. Sometimes I made mistakes, and at those times Srila Trivikrama Maharaj would protect me. For some time, it was a regular procedure that in each village, Guru Maharaj would present a slideshow along with his lecture about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and other great personalities. I once forgot to bring the slide projector. And when I realized this, I was in great anxiety that I would disappoint Guru Maharaj. Srila Trivikrama Maharaj asked me what was wrong, and when I told him, he said, "Don't worry, I will handle the matter. I will take care of everything for you." Later on, when our Guru Maharaj was ready to give his lecture and slideshow presentation, he asked Srila Trivikrama Maharaj, "So everything is ready?" Srila Trivikrama Maharaj replied, "Oh, today is a very cloudy day and it may rain. If you show the slides, the program will take a long time. The rain may come and everyone will leave before you have completed the class." Then Guru Maharaj asked him, "Then what should I do?" And Srila Trivikrama Maharaj replied, "Why not just give the class?" And Guru Maharaj was satisfied to do that. And years later, Srila Trivikrama Maharaj reminded me of this incident. And he asked me if I remembered it. And I said, yes. And we tightly embraced each other. Guru Maharaj entered Nitya Lila in October 1968. But internally, he is always looking after us and encouraging us. Externally, Srila Trivikrama Maharaj took the place of my Guru Maharaj in the sense that he encouraged me in all my activities. And when I began preaching in the West and writing and translating books, I would write to Param Pujapat Srila Vaman Maharaj, Srila Trivikrama Maharaj and others for advice, because they are very qualified preachers. Srila Trivikrama Maharaj would reply to my letters without delay. He would encourage me and inspire me to write more books and to preach all over the world. Sometimes we presented opposing ideas to each other, and we countered each other's arguments, but he was always so polite and humble. He was a senior Vaishnava in all respects, and he could help the entire world. But he used to write to me and say, "We cannot do the service that you are doing for Gurudev. So I especially favor you and I praise you. May you preach for a long time. May you write and publish many books." He was a great poet, scholar, and astrologer. He has written an artik of our Guru Maharaj that is sung every evening in Navadvip Dham. In this artik, he expresses his extreme humility. At the end of the artik, he writes, "Oh, I am so unworthy. I do not serve Gurudev like Sajan Sevak and Gaur Narayan, and therefore I behold their services from a distance." He was a Niskinchan Vaishnava. He did not accept any disciples. Now, on behalf of you all, I am offering my heartfelt Pushpanjali at his lotus feet. Where is he now? He will be in Navadvip Dham or in Braj Dham. He was always especially inclined toward Mahaprabhu in Navadvip Dham, and therefore I think that he is there. I pray that he will be very merciful to all of us, and he will inspire us and give us blessings so that we can try to serve Sri Hari Guru and Vaishnavas and do bhajan as he did. So our beloved Srila Gurudev, Śrīmad Bhaktivedānta Narayan Goswami Maharaj wanted to build a small, beautiful Samadhi Mandir for his dear God brother. But for some reason it did not materialize during Srila Gurudev's manifest pastimes. And when Srila Gurudev entered Nitya Lila, devotees faced obstacles in building Srila Gurudev's Samadhi Mandir. An inspiration to complete Srila Trivikrama Maharaj's Samadhi Mandir entered the heart of some of Srila Gurudev's disciples, and they thought that possibly Srila Gurudev wanted Srila Trivikrama Maharaj's Samadhi Mandir to be completed first, knowing of their deep, affectionate relationship. In fact, all obstacles began to clear as soon as the construction of Srila Trivikrama Maharaj's Samadhi Mandir began. Today marks the inauguration of Srila Trivikrama Maharaj's Samadhi Mandir, which will no doubt bring Srila Gurudev great joy. And that's where the picture is.
Yeah. There was so many obstacles in the Samadhi. Collecting everything.
Oh yeah. I remember hearing from him also, but you're reminding me. Yeah.
It got delayed. and then
Yeah,
when this samadhi was completed, then it cleared the way.
yeah. So your donation helped to fulfill Gurudev's direct desire. Yeah. So, the rest of the book, we don't have time to read it now, but that's the end of the biographical section. And then there's a few pages of Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj's teachings, and the first section is his favorite shlokas. Then the next one is his favorite topics. And then the next one is articles in Sri Gaudiya Patrika.
Did you say just a couple?
Yeah, I just decided. Labdva Sudurlabhamidam is one of them, so we've already read that. The next one is also from the 11th canto, 26th chapter, 26th verse. Tato duk sangam utsrijya satsu sajjeta buddhiman santa evasya chindanti mano vyasangam uktibi. For all these reasons, an intelligent person rejects detrimental association and associates instead with saintly persons. Tato duk sangam utsrijya. And satsu sajjeta buddhiman, intelligent person. Yeah. And then the rest of the verse says, Santa evasya chindanti. This is because only saintly personalities, with their prowess and their virtuous instructions, manovya sangam uktibi, can cut his unholy material attachment from the heart. And one more sloka from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 9, 195. Aprakrita vastu nahe prakrita gochara. Veda puranete e kahe nirantara. Perception of spiritual objects means aprakrita vastu. Perception of spiritual objects is not within the range of the material senses. Right? Nahe prakrita gochar. Not within the range of the prakrita senses. Veda puranete e kohe nirantar. And contemplating them is beyond the range of the mind. The Vedas and the Puranas proclaim this repeatedly. Then, this is very short, his favorite topics. Srila Mahārāja's, Trivikrama Maharaj's prominent subjects of discussion in his talks and lectures were as follows. Bhogavad, cutting the enjoying propensity of jivas, giving up bad association, performing pure bhakti devoid of any cheating propensity, sharanagati, surrender, fully utilizing one's life to perform bhakti, and the preciousness of human life. He would discuss the teachings of Prahlad Maharaj from Śrīmad Bhagavatam, along with the liberation of Ajamil, the glories of Śrīnam, the 11th canto, the 9th canto, the story of Sudama Brahman, the story of King Nriga, the lifting of Sri Giriraj, showing mercy to the Yagyapatnis, the gopis giving their foot dust to Narada Rishi, and so forth. He would instruct that these topics can be understood only by mercy of Sri Guru and not by mental exertion or by reading a commentary. And he wrote articles in Gaudiya Patrika. He has written wonderful articles clarifying many complex siddhantas, and some of them are as follows. Here's just the title. Dui Bandhur Alap means a discussion between two friends. Bhogvad, the propensity to enjoy and not serve. How to attain Vairagya. Mukunda Sevan Vrata, the vow to serve Mukunda one's whole life by mind, body, and words. What did you get as a sannyasi? What is bhajan? The sampradaya of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is highest. What did Mahaprabhu give? And then many of his Bengali articles have been translated into English, and his English Harikatha has been transcribed and published in the Rays of the Harmonist magazine. Here's some of the titles. In 2000, the year 2000, what is our duty? Sri Guru Padashraya. Remember this one? Who is a true Indian? In 2001. Self-realization and Parabhakti in Sadhu Sangha, 2002. Why do we not like to love Krishna? 2002. Our aim is to serve the Lord, 2003. The glory of exclusive devotion to Krishna, 2003. O merciful Srila Prabhupada, 2004. And 2011. Who can be a real guru? In 2005 and 11. The speciality of Mahaprabhu's dance at Rath Yatra, 2006. Śrīmad Mahaprabhu's Prem Moy Dharma, 2007. Donya Vakya, divine expressions of humility, 2008. Praise to Sri Krishna Sankirtan, 2009. Well-wishers of the fallen, 2009. Only divine blessings can bring us to the highest plane, 2010. Krishna is only hungry for love, his last one in 2010. So that is the end of this little booklet. His
2010.
Yeah, in 2010. It was published in 2010.
Yeah.
In 2000, and so that lecture is here in full. Hopefully we'll have another time to read that. But I just wanted to tell one last thing of my own exchange with Srila Trivikrama Maharaj. When I took sannyas in the year 2002, he was not well at all. And he was lying down on a wooden bed where outside of his room, which is just behind the mandir at Devananda Gaudiya Math. And a lot of devotees were surrounding him. So that right after the sannyas ceremony where Gurudev gave our dandas and cloth, and we were about to go begging, right? And then I went there and paid my dandavats at his bedside with my danda. And then I sat up and I requested, oh, Srila Maharaj, I know I have taken sannyas. Can you give me any instruction? And he then spoke very, very briefly. And he was almost kind of like fading sometimes in and out of his wakeful consciousness, you know. And then he answered something that I completely didn't expect. I thought he would say something about conduct of sannyasis and so forth like that. He said, sannyas is for Harinam, but it is very hard. That was his instruction. Not easy thing to do Harinam. And of course he's talking about truly being immersed in Harinam. But he said sannyas is for Harinam, but it is very hard. And then I stood up and I folded my palms and I tried to express from my heart how much gratitude I felt toward him, and that he was being so kind and merciful to give me that instruction. And then he answered me, that is all right, my brother. And that was the last time that I saw him at the Trivikrama there. Because he passed away, I think, in 2002 or 3. But so I always cherished the association that I had with him. And each year that we get to remember him, I feel very fortunate. And since this little book was published, so nice.
This is a GVP publication? Or
Yeah, I think so.
So the devotee that created the Samadhi, what's his name?
Yeah, I don't remember, but his name is not mentioned. I was looking for it.
He didn't publish this book. This is a GVP.
You know what? This is a different. This is not GVP. It's called.
Charisma?
Yeah, Charisma section. Charisma section. That's what it's called. Oh yeah, it is. Bhaktivedānta Publications 2015. Copyright.
That's a republication. The first
Oh,
one came
oh.
out was Umadidi.
Oh, Umadidi.
Who put this together though?
Umadidi was
Huh?
Umadidi.
Umadidi wrote this?
Yeah, because she said Umadidi said that he actually made me a devotee. Trivikrama.
Hmm.
So she actually,
Well, here in the acknowledgements, Sripad Bhaktivedānta Puri Maharaj, remember him? He was the personal servant of Srila Trivikrama Maharaj. And then Srimati Umadidi, Amal Krishna Das, Krishna Karunya Das, Vijay Krishna Das, Shyam Das, Bangalore, that's his name. Shyam Das, yeah. Anupam Das, Govinda Rajan Das, Vaijantimala Dasi. Yeah.
A team.
Yeah, it was a
put
team.
together.
Right.
Very beautiful.
Yeah. They published 2,000 copies, the first edition in 2015. Yeah. So.
Nice.
Jai Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Mahārāja ki jai. Tadiya Avirbhav Mahamahotsav Titi Srila Bhaktivedānta Trivikrama Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Srila Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Brahma Vishnu Mahesh ki jai. The three pillars of Bhaktivedānta Samhita ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Shri Gurudev Guru Parampara ki jai. Shri Bhaktivedānta Swami Maharaj ki jai. Shri Bhaktivedānta Padmanabha Maharaj ki jai.
Jai. All the assembled Vaishnavas, especially Tirthapada Prabhu, Radhakanta Prabhu, and Sadbhuj Prabhu ki jai. Vindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Sacha Ansha Kalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhu Bhya Evacha Patitanam